Lions, 4 Siege Rhinos, and 2 Wingmate Rocks, and then a whole bunch of spells.
And this is the kind of build, this Jeskai aggro deck that we saw Icebreak Regent look very impressive. I don't believe there's any copies throughout the 75, but I think that card's got some serious legs in decks like this.
Noah Walker playing in the previous Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir, I believe with the team of Happy Viking Gaming. Chris Anderson, some other players on that team. Chris Anderson actually having a really good performance at that Pro Tour, qualifying for the next Pro Tour as a result of his finish at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. See a Fleecebane line here for Charles to start things off. Walker with a couple Temples. One of Triumph, the other of Epiphany, as we are underway here in round number 5. Fleecebane line will come into the red zone. Walker will go down to 17. There's a copy of Llanowar Waste. The follow-up is another Fleecebane line. I'm passing the turn. Don't have to worry about Bile Blight given what he's playing against. Walker will untap and take a draw. Mantis Rider in hand. Mountain there too, so Mantis Rider is something he can certainly cast right now.
But definitely behind the gun at this point.
He will go with the 3/3 flyer that has haste and vigilance. 17 all, and perhaps he's looking to block here if he can.
Well, in this kind of matchup, he might be the aggressor to the extent where he's got to take some of these lumps. Part of the problem is that the start here might indicate that Charles is actually playing an aggro build of Abzan, and then he might be more inclined to block. Charles giving him no choice here at all with the removal spell, but I think Noah might have been looking to race there if he was allowed to.
The interesting thing is with these 2 Fleecebane lines, as you mentioned, it might come off as Abzan aggro, and that is simply not the case.
Yep.
This is an Abzan control deck. Charles has just found his draw that allows him to do a little Fleecebane line beatdown. You see Walker's going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand, get himself an island. He's down at 10. Now wouldn't be a bad time for Stoke the Flames. It'll be Thunderbreak Regent.
And now Noah has to cross his fingers and hope no land number 5 and no removal spell. He's asking a lot.
There's land number 5. That'll take care of that right now.
Now Charles has a very good attack this turn where he can just ship both the Fleecebane lines. Noah can't block unless he's willing to chump block because Charles can go monstrous.
Noah knows that, so he just has to take the damage. No good blocks available. The follow-up is Read the Bones. Not a bad time to take the turn off.
I don't know. In this spot, I think that if I was Charles, I would have just gone monstrous with one of the Fleecebane lines. You knock Noah into a spot where he's lethal. At this point, if Noah untaps and let's say he has 2 lightning strikes for your Fleecebane lines, he can turn this game around.
And he's got a real clock on the table, too.
Yeah, exactly. There's some risk to this play where I think just going monstrous with Fleecebane line is very safe.
See if Charles has a follow-up play after that Read the Bones. Looks like he does with Ultimate Price. Have to take 3 damage from the trigger. But life is pretty good here for Zhang.
But this is an opening here for Noah to go off the works a little bit. You see Hordeling Outburst in his hand. That gives him a little bit of a cushion here. He's able to chain together some removal spells. That's very good as well.
There's Hordeling Outburst. 3 goblins on the way. Wild Slash in hand right now as well. And just a passing of the turn. You have to imagine Charles is just going to keep on attacking here.
Yeah, no reason to slow down. Noah in a position now where he needs to double chump block.
And Zhang going to start by playing a Temple of Malady. Top card goes to the bottom very quickly. There are the attacks. There's the double chump.
That was a spot there for Noah to potentially get very greedy and say, I'll put everything in front of your Fleecebane lion. Well, put 3 tokens in front of one of your Fleecebane lions. Because if Charles goes for the kill and Noah has Stoke the Flames, it's really bad news for Charles.
Absolutely. There's Lightning Strike. Going to kill the Fleecebane line that tried to go monstrous. Pretty big deal there, too, because he gets to gain 3 life.
Yeah, that's Noah's starting to pull his way out of this.
Yep.
He doesn't even need to answer the Fleecebane line at this point. He can just gain life with Soulfire Grandmaster. If he's able to get to something like Stormbreath Dragon, Charles might just not have a way to get out.
This is part of the this is part of the reason you mentioned that one particular turn where he could have activated the monstrosity on Fleecemane Lion, and we're looking at maybe something different entirely.
Noah's on the back foot, and you have a lethal, indestructible creature that Noah has to generate blockers for every single turn. And it's not like you lose the opportunity to read the bones. The following turn, it's still in your hand. It's not going anywhere. So a lot of the wind has been taken out of the sails of these Fleecemane Lions, and Noah is not far away from being able to stabilize this game.
Walker down to 4 after that attack. There's Courser. Top card is a Siege Rhino. That's a good one. A forest will trigger the Courser up to 13. Walker will untap and draw. Can he continue to work his way out of what was a very difficult situation? You mentioned Stormbat Dragon. He does have it in hand. Doesn't look like the 5th land is there, though. Has another copy of Soulfire Grandmaster in hand. Might be going that route.
Siege Rhino on top has made things a lot trickier.
Oh, without question. Always one of the most difficult cards for Jeskai, too. There's a Goblin Rabblemaster. First, we're trying to shift gears here. Stoke the Flames. Yep.
That's a big game, too.
Yep. This game's getting interesting.
I mean, Noah's starting to deploy his resources here, and his deck's a lot more efficient once we get to this stage of the game. Charles running out of resources to work with.
There's a trigger from Courser. Soulfire Grandmaster doing a lot of work right now, too. See the top card here. It's a copy of Ultimate Price. That's a big reveal because I think Walker's plan here to stabilize was to play Stormbreath Dragon on defense. That'll take care of the Siege Rhino, for lack of a better term. But now the Ultimate Price on top of the deck is going to make that pretty tough.
Yeah. Alternatively, he could go to the air and try to just chump block enough to stay alive. And that doesn't work either at this point because of the Ultimate Price.
Take a draw. I believe the draw was a copy of Dig Through Time. 2 copies in Walker's deck. And it is. So he'll delve away the entire graveyard. Take a look at the top 7 cards. Take 2 with him.
3 main deck copies of Valorous Stance in his list here, which would be a great find.
Didn't find one, though. Lightning Strike among the cards he did find, however. Found a couple cards that he likes. So Dig is done resolving. There is a Flooded Strand. He'll sacrifice that strand, go down to 2. In the situation, 2 and 3, relatively the same because of Siege Rhino, though he is able to gain life due to Soulfire Grandmaster, so perhaps it's not exactly the same.
Trample also mucks it up a little bit because of the Siege Rhino. The points definitely matter.
Got a Wild Slash that's going to go after Siege Rhino. That'll allow him to gain 2. And now Lightning Strike. I have to imagine is going to get cast. That'll allow him to gain 3. And now, oh boy. Now Rabblemaster gets to come across in the red zone too.
Yeah, this is another big swing here. I mean, Charles does have the opportunity here to untap, get rid of the Rabblemaster, and hang back on defense. But Noah's got more spells in his hand than Charles does at this point.
And we're at a tie. I mean, we're not even tied anymore. Noah Walker has the lead now. Ultimate Price is the draw. Top card of the deck is an Elspeth. That's a pretty good draw if Charles gets to actually cast that card, which is not something I expected to be saying.
Yeah, it's crazy how this game got swung around so fast. I think it all goes back to the turn that Charles took off, casting Read the Bones. And the consequences for that decision have sort of multiplied each turn of the game.
Trigger the Courser, thanks to the Windswept Teeth. Zhang up to 8. What a dramatic shift in this game. It's really unbelievable. I thought this game was basically over once that Mantis Rider got Hero's downfalled.
I thought so too. I thought Noah was just too far behind. But Stoke the Flames and you know, a couple of the other cards have allowed him to efficiently add to the board and answer something. And those are the kind of swings that he needs to be able to catch back up.
Ultimate Price took care of the Goblin Rabblemaster. Walker going to show a Stormbreath Dragon. But that's not a lethal Stormbreath Dragon right now. It's close, but it's not exactly lethal. So showing that may have been a bit premature.
I think it works out to be lethal because with Elspeth on the top, a plus of Elspeth means the Stormbreath kills him, and a minus means that the tokens come across for lethal.
But what's interesting here is if you're Charles, you know, if Elspeth isn't your out and you know your deck really well, you know, your question is, okay, what is my out? Do I have an out in this situation? Because there's a Windswept Teeth in play.
Yeah, but he can't do it now.
He can't do it now because he's taking the damage.
If he wanted to shuffle, he had to do it before the fact, because now if he sacrifices the Windswept Teeth, he goes to 0 and dies before he's able to find a land and trigger the Courser.
Correct. Either way, Noah Walker's going to win game number 1 here over Charles Zhang, and a heck of a comeback. Just
great comeback. Great comeback.
Up a game over Abzan Control. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. And on Charles's side, we'll find an Elspeth, a Garrick, and Ugin, along with a copy of Bobblight, an additional copy of Read the Bones, 2 Drown in Sorrow, 2 Unhostilities, 3 Duress, 1 Abzan Charm, and 2 copies of Surge of Righteousness.
I think that the 3 copies of Duress are very well suited for this matchup. The 2 copies of End Hostilities as well, and the Bobblight. Just more removal. I don't mind going up to the top with another copy of Elspeth as well.
What do we see on the other side?
2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 2 copies of Encase in Ice, 2 copies of Disdainful Stroke, 2 copies of Negate, 2 copies of Burmaz, King of Rescos, and Elspeth, Sun's Champion, Dragon Lord Ojutai, and Erase, a Glare of Heresy, and a Seismic Rupture. I think that you're going to see the counterspells come in here and Negates and Disdainful Strokes. I think the Elspeth is fine for this matchup, as is the Dragon Lord Ojutai. I think that Encase in Ice is likely to come in here based on the cards that Noah saw. I mean, you saw Fleece Mainline as well. I don't think it's typically very good against Abzan because a lot of their creatures do things even if you have them tapped. Siege Rhino still triggers, Courser still does its thing. But Fleece Mainline might be enough to tip it over to that side of the equation.
It's still certainly possible that Noah thinks he's playing against Abzan aggro still.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Courser sort of indicates that that's not going on. It just looks like an Abzan collection of cards.
Sure.
But I think that with Fleece Mainline in the list, it might be enough for Noah to bring in the Encase in Ice. Glare of Heresy as well will come in for similar reasons.
We'll talk about next level deck building very quickly. We oftentimes talk about next level Magic, but next level deck building, Chapin's other book, and now finally for the first time available in paperback.
Yeah, if you want to understand deck building philosophy better, build better decks yourself, this is the best book out there. By Patrick Chapin, a Magic Hall of Famer, Pro Tour champion, 2-time World's runner-up. Helpful for players at all ability levels, from experts all the way down to people who are just starting the game. This is the first time it's available in paperback, over 500 full color pages. Go to starcitygames.com/nextlevel to order your copy right now.
Fantastic book, both of them are. I own a copy of each one, and Chapin, when he's not playing Magic, he has time to write about Magic, and he does it quite a bit. Next level deck building, again, available for the first time in paperback. Pretty big deal there.
You can see the framing there, fair and unfair, reactive and aggressive on where decks fall on the spectrum. That's already a deeper presentation of deck building and the philosophies that go behind deck building than many players have.
Yes.
So just by looking at the cover, you're already ahead of the game.
And there's only more inside.
There's 500 more pages on top of that.
So I would just buy it just for the cover.
There you go.
StarCityGames.com/nextlevel for more information. Is game number 2 going to be underway here between Noah Walker and Charles Zhang in just a bit. Just Sky Aggro, Abzan Control. We've seen a pretty decent amount of Abzan here, but I know the room is pretty diverse talking to the players. A lot of different decks people are playing this particular weekend because there are a lot of different decks to play in the standard format.
It's the nature of the format. You know, there's a lot of different options. And I think players have the option of just identifying the types of cards they like or a particular card they like and just playing that card or that deck. Standard formats have not always done that, but it's a consequence of the power level of the format being pretty flat. no superstar cards. Certainly some cards are more powerful than others, and we see a lot of Goblin Rabbit Masters, we see a lot of Siege Rhinos, we see a lot of Dig Through Times. There's definitely some cards that push you in particular directions, but no one feels compelled to play a particular deck because it's just so much better than all the other options.
I'm really looking forward to playing the Standard Open in Portland in 2 weeks.
I'm looking forward to covering you.
It's just, this format's just awesome.
It is one of the best Standard formats I can recall, maybe the best. In terms of diversity of decks, diversity of play patterns, how fun are the games actually to play? R&D really knocked it out of the park.
It's pretty indicative that the games are actually a lot of fun to watch, and I have to imagine they're going to be a lot of fun to play. When we were covering Theros Standard with Pack Rat and Mono Blue Devotion and Sphinx's Revelation, after a couple of weeks...
It could be a chore, man.
Yeah.
It could honestly be a chore.
That got to be a little bit boring. And it not only boring for us here in the booth, but, even people watching at home and people playing the tournament, it's like, yeah, I guess I'm just playing Mono Black because it's the best deck, know? But this is just diversity like crazy. You can build all the decks so many different ways. A Jesco aggro deck, you can build that deck 7 different ways probably.
I mean, there's so many different shades of that deck. And it feels that the same thing is true. Like, Charles's list is here. We have it as Abzan Control. He's playing with expensive stuff. He's got Ukon in his list and so forth. But he's still playing with Fleecebane Lion. There's a lot of examples of that, of decks we have on camera where, in a broad stroke sense, we define it as this class of deck. But a lot of the, the details suggest that they're kind of trying to take a different angle of attack.
Walker going to take a mulligan here while Zhang is happy with his opening 7. Charles will be on the play here for game number 2. I just don't think I've been a part of a standard format where you can just build so many decks so many different ways and still have them fall underneath the same umbrella.
Yeah. I remember for the Mono Black Devotion decks, for example, sometimes we would say something like, all right, this person has 3 Devour Fleshes instead of 4 and a main deck Duress. And that's a pretty big departure.
Big change.
Big changes. Found a way to get a Duress in the main deck.
Needed that 5th discard spell.
Yeah.
We're underway here in game number 2. Temple of Mali is going to leave the top card on top for Charles. Temple of Triumph for Noah Walker. It will do the same. Leave that top card on top. A Case of Koilos into a Fleecebane Lion here. Zhang will have to take 1, so he's down to 19. We head back Walker's way. Temple of Triumph here for Noah. Top card becomes the bottom card. Pass it over. And attack here for 3 is going to bring Walker down to 17. That's a Fleecebane Lion, so very reminiscent to what we watched in the last game.
Same opening, 2 Fleecebane Lions to start it off, with Noah having no play on turn 2.
Yep. Temple of Silence, little scry action. It's funny because this is just, it's not an Abzan aggro deck, but it looks like an Abzan aggro deck this game, just like it did in the last game. Walker will draw.
Yeah, there could very easily be 3 Elspeths and a Nugan in his deck right now.
Yep.
Right now it's Fleecebane Lion doing work.
There's Mantis Rider in for 3. Pass that turn back. See if Zhang has the removal spell here again. Taking a long look at things in his hand right now. Last time we saw the removal spell not be good enough. He's tapping 3 mana. All right, it's Hero's Downfall. This is literally the same as the last game.
Yep.
There's the attack for 6. So see if Walker can stop these Fleecebane Lions yet again.
Part of the problem with the Fleecebanes in this matchup, though, is that Charles is not doing very much with the incremental damage he's picking up. It does help for the purposes of Siege Rhino closing out the game, but Noah can go down to 5 from these hits or something and then be able to clean up the game from there. Charles is not doing a ton to leverage the damage he's dealing right now besides the Siege Rhinos in his deck.
This is Hero's Downfall. That'll take care of Thunderbreak Regent. Here come 2 more Lions.
Now, this is still very good. I mean, if he's able to answer Noah's plays and Noah's can't kill them, then these Fleecebane Lions are going to win the game in short order. But Noah can stabilize a relatively low life total and undo most of the work that the Fleecebane Lions did.
Walker with a Whirling Outburst, a couple of lands in hand. Temple of Triumph, looks like a Flooded Strand over there as well. Unsure if he has Stormbreath Dragon or not. There's Temple. Top card, bottom card now. There's the Outburst. 3 Goblins, pass that turn back. See if Zhang has something like a Bile Blight here. I think he does. He does. This was easy.
Yep, no Stoke the Flames, and that's a kill.
Charles Zhang gonna win game number 2 here over Noah Walker. Obzon control. Control.
Yep.
Winning game number 2 for Just Sky Aggro. Interesting. The old Fleecebane line draw from the control deck, given the beatdowns.
Noah's draw a little slow out of the gates there, and that's the type of draw that Charles can get that can really capitalize on it.
Slow-ish.
I mean, well, Noah didn't really do anything until turn 3-ish, and then at that point he's trying to block, and, you know, it's not, no lightning strikes and no blockers.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's has to go back to the drawing board. We'll see if Noah can be the aggressive deck here and put on some pressure.
Yeah, I mean, he's the deck with a lot more creatures and a lot more burn spells, so
That's for sure.
So far these first 2 games have been a little bit odd.
It looks like Charles might go to the drawing board for sideboarding. So we'll talk about Chapin's other book now, since he has time to write 2 of them. Next Level Magic is what we're talking about. New 2015 edition now available. Paperbook and ebook there as well.
Exactly. This text gets updated periodically. Next Level Magic. Again, Patrick Chapin, Hall of Famer, Pro Tour champion. This is just a great book for Magic theory and Magic philosophy. More about playing the games than building decks compared to Next Level deck building. It's available on ebook as it always is, plus paperback, and it's been sold out on paperback for well over a year now, so that's an exciting return there. StarCityGames.com/NLM to order your copy right now.
Obzon control, Just Sky Aggro, Noah Walker, 4-0. Just got done playing in Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. We'll see if he can have some success here in the Open Series. I know he's a Northeasterner from this area.
Flew back from Belgium, and a few days later, just right in the next tournament.
Oh, got to. Who are we kidding? Reed Duke, too. Bunch of people. Mike Sigrist here. You know, he played in the last Pro Tour. Who cares? Gotta play some Magic, man.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I did back from when I got back from Pro Tour Amsterdam was fire up Moto. We are who we are.
Usually I had a few days of not wanting to see a Magic card when I got back from
that tournament was a complete disaster, and I just wanted to get back into an 8-man.
PT Amsterdam, this was the Mirrodin draft one or a different one?
This was the one that Paul Rietzel won.
Okay.
This was in 2011, I believe.
All right, I was kind of out of the loop at that point.
Yeah.
I did compete in a Pro Tour in Amsterdam once, though, which was quite a bit of fun.
Played the worst deck I've ever played at Pro Tour before at that tournament. Wanted a do-over. Really bad dredge deck. Really bad.
Most of the Target decks I played were pretty bad.
Yeah.
There were some good ones, but a lot of stinkers.
That'll happen. Sometimes you just want a do-over, man. That's what the 8-mans are for.
Just try to get a little bit of that airfare back.
Yeah. 2 tickets at a time. Both players take a look at their opening 7. Mystic Monastery is how Walker will start things for game number 3. Zhang with the Temple is silent. Take a look at that top card. It's going to stay on top. We'll head back Noah's way. Maybe a Temple. Maybe not. So the answer is no. Soulfire Grandmaster. Pass that turn back. Card that was very important for Walker winning game number 1. Let's see if we can help him win game number 3.
Huge part of the comeback.
That's the Thoughtseize. Walker will show a hand. It's got a Dragonlord Ojutai. It's got a Bramaz. Dig Through Time. A Temple of Triumph, which is the land he thought about playing last turn, and a Battlefield Forge.
Very nice curve here. I would imagine it's not Dig Through Time, given Noah's got nothing to really grease the wheels here. So then it's a curve consideration, in which case you take Bramaz, or, you know, Charles feels like he can remove the first couple plays, and at that point you probably want to get Dragonlord Ojutai out of there, because it's just very powerful. I think Noah there made a quick move to put the Bramaz in the graveyard, but it's a little bit more complicated than that.
It oftentimes is.
Charles's hand has a lot of removal spells, then there's a good chance that he takes Dragonlord Ojutai instead.
Might be scared of that dig through time. That's much further down the road too, if he thinks the game is going to go longer. There goes Dragon Lord Ojutai. Walker will draw. That's a good draw.
That's the best draw.
Yeah, that's a Mantis Rider. Making it look easy. He'll come across for 5. Did not have that when the turn started.
It's especially rough because if Charles's play for this turn was planning to ultimate price the Bramaz, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And even if it's just Hero's Downfall or Courser Crew Fix, there's a lot of plays that Charles could have had this turn to respond to the theoretical Bramaz that have gotten a lot worse in the face of Mantis Rider.
Time to draw. Time to attack. There's Abzan Charm. Little risky to do it on your opponent's
That's
turn.
some risky business right there.
Yeah.
Because if Noah ripped a negate or something.
Sometimes these decks play a card like God's Willing.
Yeah, that's risk with very little reward.
Bramaz is the follow-up.
And imagine if he had to play Abzan Charm that turn instead of Courser. Well, that means the Soulfire Grandmaster just connected for another couple of points of damage, too. Yep. So that Mantis Rider is just a huge draw.
Siege Rhino is the top card of the deck. Does Zhang have land number 4? He does not. He needs the Courser to find it. Walker will draw. That is a copy of Valorous Stance. Here's an attack for 6. We know that Charles is drawing Siege Rhino.
And missing a land drop to boot.
Uh-huh. So this could be bad news all around. Walker going to search up his token for Bramaz. This just aggro deck can be unrelenting at times.
It's sort of the same thing that Charles did to him in game 2.
It's really true.
Get on the board first, force you to spend your whole turn reacting, kill your plays, and bury you before you can get much of anything going.
Just running downhill.
Noah's got to feel pretty confident in this spot. Well, I know that you can't cast a Siege Rhino. So best case scenario for you is you're, casting something like Hero's Downfall on the Bramaz. I get to connect again next turn. I'm getting closer to cast the Dig Through Time. That can probably piece together lethal no matter what.
I think you got to be feeling great.
Yeah. I guess Noah's without double blue, so Dig Through Time can't necessarily be cast, but he's drawing very live even if Charles has a removal spell.
Yeah.
I also believe Noah may have negate in hand, which is all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, there's negate. See you later. See you later. That should end this one. You're going to do a little bit of math to make sure that's the case. And that is Noah Walker is going to win this game and match over Charles Zhang. 2-1. Jess Geiger will take care of Abzan control. Both these players just kind of ran downhill on each other.
It shows you, in a lot of these matchups, it's kind of about who's able to get on the board first and capitalize on it. It's a little bit weird because Charles's deck is a control deck, but happened to just have Fleecemane Lion draws in games 1 and 2. But the person who was stumbling and not carving out efficiently there is the one who got run out of the game, died with a bunch of spells in their hand.